All right, so I'm laughing right now because I just read what Matt wrote on the board. And what is that?
I don't know. I don't have eyes on that.
Seasickness is a moral failure. And with that, my name is RJ LaValle. Who are you?
I don't know anymore. I'm Matthew McKenzie, and this is Backwinded. Welcome back.
We're taking a different twist today.
Yeah, it's we just spent the last hour talking about heavy shit, and apparently the world energy markets are going to implode because of the SpaceX IPO.
I'm just saying that I'm being speculative for no apparent reason. I have no evidence to back up any of my opinions.
So anyway, we just spent the last hour not talking about boats, but talking about Formula One safety car regulations.
Well, and how that's a metaphor for idealism versus
cold, crass cynicism.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
So now let's layer that onto the world of recreational boating.
How the fuck are we going to do that? Ooh.
That's all right. I'll bleep it out. Yeah. So,
America's Cup.
Thank you. Yes,
there we go.
Exactly.
No, today we're going to step away from the academic nerd speak of colonial trade statistics. I mean, we really hit nerddom seriously last time.
But we made a good story
out of it. It was a good story, but it's like, come on, this is okay. But before we get into this, I want to talk about our set.
Okay.
Because
I have no idea where you're going with this.
Yeah, that was the point.
Great.
In case you hadn't noticed, we basically shoot this at a kitchen table. Just a kitchen table. And I think this is important because when I was a graduate student at the University of New Hampshire, some of the best conversations I had about history, the interpretation of history, cats on the table, really, I'm
giving you his best side.
Go get your ass out of here. We're around my friend Karen Alexander's kitchen table.
Oh, that's
awesome. In Raymond, New Hampshire. And hours just hammering it back and forth.
And think about how great the kitchen table is, the metaphor that it is,
I think
breaking bread with somebody. I think just the comfort of it.
The best.
When you have a house party, where does everybody go?
They always wind up in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I think some of the best historical thinking in humanity is always taking place around the kitchen table. So anyway, that's why we're here.
Wow,
it seems like
that's a bold supposition.
Well, it may not be the formal academic stuff.
Yeah.
But history doesn't belong to academics.
No, and this has been, for me, this journey has been so fun and enjoyable because it's how history is about storytelling. You're really getting back to the OG roots.
Of colonial statistics?
No.
That's a good bedtime story. Come on, Bobby. Let me tell you about the import duties of 1763.
Wow, that worked. Yeah. And he's colicky, but
it's better than putting whiskey in the formula.
Right. Not that we condone that or it was ever done.
No, not on my watch. Anyway, but today we're going to be talking about yachting.
Yachting or yachting?
Yachting.
Oh.
Well, actually, yachting and yachting.
Oh, well, you're going back old school Dutch.
Oh, going old school Dutch because
yes,
a yacht was originally a type of boat.
You're going to be working on one later this afternoon.
I am.
The recreation of a Dutch yacht.
Yeah,
Yacht.
It's the Onrust that operates out of the Connecticut River Museum, and they're good friends of the channel.
Onrust, because I don't think there's an umlaut over the U, is there?
There's no umlaut in Dutch.
Oh, okay.
As far as
so
I
what
know.
The hell do I know?
I think
I don't know much about Dutch.
Just act like you're hacking up a fur ball.
Yeah.
That's pretty much.
I have friends in Minnesota.
It's apparently very difficult to pronounce properly because if you're not born doing it, you don't have the scar tissue in the throat yet. Cat.
The scar tissue. How'd you get that scar tissue there, kid?
Speaking Dutch.
Oh.
All right, there you go. No, so interestingly, there are two origins, I think, that we should talk about.
Origins of what? What
are yachting.
Okay, so let's define yachting because
recreational boating.
Okay, which is so fascinating because I feel like right out of the gate, and I'm going to just toss any type of timeline out right now, that in a modern era, when somebody says yacht, I always struggle with that term because I was like, it's a goddamn boat.
Well, it depends on if you are going for a ride on it and somebody else is taking care of it, or if you're the guy that has to take care of it. If I'm the engineer aboard a yacht, it's a goddamn boat. If I am joining someone for a nice, pleasant afternoon cruise and a cocktail, it's a yacht.
Okay.
Same boat, doesn't matter.
Same boat.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
It's because for me that differentiator, yacht is much larger, much more grand.
Well, of course it tends to be. But I think there's also a question
your
of...
21-foot O'Day, I don't see that as a yacht.
Right, but a
But
21...
but it is going to be kept at a yacht club.
Possibly, and not all yacht clubs are the same.
No.
There are some very hoity-toity ones, and then there are a bunch of guys with basically trailers and a keg of beer.
Yeah. I belong to one like that in
they're
in Old
great.
Saybrook, and it's a lovely,
it's wonderful
volunteer
place.
run, and it's a great little group of people.
Yeah. It's simple,
so
and it's all about just the boating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and hanging out and be other people who like boats. It's like, I like boats. Hey, I like boats. Do you like boats? Let's be
I hate
friends.
boats.
Oh, okay. I guess
we
we
hate
can't be
boats.
friends then.
Yeah. So, thanks for coming. No, but I think back to the size. Size matters.
Oh boy. Okay, you had to go there.
A 21-foot O'Day, sure, not a yacht.
Yeah.
It's a boat. A 21-foot ticked out lobster yacht, like it's a lobster boat hull with nice
old
wet
school
bar or
Chris
something.
Craft
Or an old school Chris Craft.
on an inland lake.
Yeah, that's totally yachty. That's kind of yachty.
And maybe that's the differentiator. Is when we
fancy
use the
pants.
term yacht here in the U.S., it's more of an indicator of wealth and social status.
I agree with that. And I think it also reflects upon the care with which the boat was built and maintained.
Okay, I'm with you on that.
Like, I've got a 17-foot dory out there, which ain't no yacht.
Yeah, but it's well maintained.
No.
Okay, we're not going to take pictures of that.
We're
Not yet.
Yeah, you'll meet the dory at some point, but she's not ready yet. She's still in her underpants.
Jesus.
Primer paint.
Okay.
I haven't top coated it. So, but
Naked from the waist up and only underpants. Well, you said not getting top coated. Sorry.
You're not supposed to follow up. It's supposed to stop.
Sorry.
All right. I think yachting comes from two origins. One is well documented. Well, both are pretty well documented, but I think
I'm in on this. I want to follow you on this one.
Yeah. So first off, technically speaking, based upon Google U.
That's an uppercase U, not a. You're
No
not,
umlaut.
You're not going to Google me.
No. Yeah, Google University
Yeah.
with no umlaut.
I deserve
The
that.
first yacht, I think, was given to a Dutch royal in 1660 by the Brits to cement some sort of treaty or
Yes,
something.
I remember reading about that.
Yes, and he, with a crew of 20, it must be nice to be able to give people away, but that was the time.
Oh,
Yeah, and so you've got that origin. Some of the first yacht clubs in England were in the 17 teens and 20s. Then after the
What?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
early?
yeah,
What?
yeah. According to my sources, which I can't remember what they are because I pulled this together a while
You
ago.
can't give them up.
I'd have to shoot. I could tell you, but then
Yeah.
But really, it was after the Napoleonic Wars where you have a whole lot of mostly officers coming out of the Royal Navy who kind of enjoyed sailing around the Mediterranean and occasionally blowing shit up, but would they like sailing? So they formed the Royal Yacht Squadron in the UK after 1815, and then it became a bastion. Like horse racing, it became well. It was the sport, one of the sports of kings leading up to that. But after 1815, it really cemented its place within British elite status. If you were a yachtsman, you had to be of means and you had to have some sort of social standing.
Got it.
And of course, let's face it, when two guys have the same toy, what are they going to do?
They're going to
See whose is bigger. Yeah,
exactly.
and race it. And then bet the family estate on it and whatever.
Yeah.
So that's one side of it. But there's another side of yachting that is almost the same in the sense that two guys with the same toy, whose is faster.
Yeah.
But this one comes from a much more humble origin. This is basically guys in fishing vessels trying to get home to get the better catch. Oh, and by the way, the last one in buys the first round.
And the last one in is getting the worst prices.
Price. Exactly. So you have these two very different origin stories.
Yeah, that's probably a really quick and important aside is even in this day and age, commercial fishermen in certain venues.
Oh, they hammer down.
Yeah, there's a
It's-
reason they want a fast boat. It's like
Right.
people might say, "What? So you can like drag your seine nets through the water quicker?" No,
I
it's to
worked-
get home faster. So there's that practicality, and then you also have the other insane stuff. You want to see some really weird and funny videos? Is on YouTube. You have the people doing races, lobster boat races, or crabbing boat races to see how quickly they can get them into the dock.
See, that's a real test of skill.
Oh my gosh, yeah. No,
Being-
that's an intense
Going
skill.
fast in a straight line, whatever.
Whatever.
But getting it into the dock in one
Boom.
stab.
Yeah.
See that now, but that speaks to the competitive nature of work
Of humans.
of humans. But like to go back to the yachting, you have two sources of maritime competition.
So one well established, going back to 1710.
66,
right?
1660
Okay.
apparently.
And now
The other one was probably always there. But what starts to change,
okay.
first off,
But are we talking more of a story about the rise of the rise of the middle class? At least here in the United States.
well, the middle class is always rising, apparently.
Oh well.
I mean, the middle class started rising.
I thought we already
In
got all
ancient
of our.
Rome.
I thought we got our heavy stuff out of the way already.
No, I think there's a better phrase of it would be an increasing democratization of
Nah, better phrasing.
right.
Yeah.
But we're not there yet because democratization requires access and blah blah blah. But before the Civil War, what this is really in the United States, yachting was mostly, not exclusively, but mostly about American elites trying to emulate their European social betters.
Oh, and hence the rise of having a manicured lawn and all these other things.
In
Right?
the
It's all
States,
this
it's
stuff
all
that we're
cultural
all trying to,
appropriate. Yeah, they're
all
just trying to
emulate
manifest it.
English.
The New York Yacht Club is formed in 1844 specifically to build a boat to race against Europeans in their increasing number of yacht races. And these, when I say yachts, let's set aside the guys in the mizenier rigs, hammering down to get into the port of Brest with a better price. We'll leave that aside for the time being. These are, vessels 30, 40, 50, 60 feet long, sometimes even longer, and they're racing after serious prize money, and especially in the south of England.
Who is putting up that money?
I don't know, but my hunch would be everybody who wants to race is chipping into a kitty.
Everyone puts it. Okay.
Yeah,
Puts
something
into
like
a pot
that.
and
Right.
whatever.
So the New York Yacht Club builds, using a pilot schooner design, builds the Yacht America, launches in 1851, sails over to England, and is trying to enter into all these yacht races, and no one would let him in. Nobody. Until finally there was an open race around the Isle of Wight, and they crashed it.
Oh.
They just showed up, and no one could.
Oh! I thought you meant they crashed the boat.
No, like wedding crashers. They're like, screw it, we're going to race in this. And they showed up. No one could stop them because it was an open race, apparently. And they kicked the hell out of everybody by 8 minutes. And they won the 100 Guinea Cup. And that's a lot of money back in 1850, 55, I think it is, 54 when that happened. So America.
How many beers was that? A lot.
A lot. More than I can drink, that's for sure.
Well, and the reason I use that reference is Matt brought that up, is that there are all these things of, that's worth X in today's dollars, and
There's a lot of problems with that.
Yeah, so you have to find some other kind of
a loaf of bread,
proxy.
a pint of beer, whatever.
Yeah.
So they go back. The United States has its little hissy fit called the Civil War, and beginning in 1870,
Little hissy fit. Sorry.
British and
Only a historian.
Yeah, I know. Well, we're not talking about the Civil War today. That's a whole different topic.
No.
But beginning in
A lot of boats there,
1870,
though. We can
a lot of
talk-
boats.
Yeah, we'll revisit that at some point.
Beginning in 1870, the English attempted every 3 years to try to win the cup back. By the way, that 100 Guinea Cup became known as America's Cup.
Oh, fascinating. I was wondering what the gestation of that was.
So it was ensconced at the New York Yacht Club until 1983, when it wasn't the English that took it. And I remember this. I was a 13-year-old kid. We watched this all the time.
Yeah.
the Aussies.
Yeah.
That was the year that the fin keel was unveiled. It was a secret keel the whole time, and I remember the buzz around that until
Was it
the
a
race.
fin or was it a bulb? I think it was a bulb.
It was a fin.
Yeah.
It was a fin that came out like that, because I remember distinctly one of the drunken Aussie crew members that when they won was sitting on it when they unveiled it with a bottle of champagne in his hand. So anyway, that, and then since then it's actually, that race series has turned into a really fascinating global competition of not just sailing but also vessel design. It's always about vessel design. Going back to
one of the reasons we were talking about Formula One to begin with. I mean, the America's Cup and is really kind of that element where they have all of these rules set out. It's like, okay, you got to stay within this sandbox that adds up to 12 meters, because these are 12-meter boats, which they're not 12 meters long. It's just this other weird little calculation. But yeah, it's a technological arms race.
Well, and one of the most famous designers of America's Cup defenders in the 1880s and 90s and early 20th century is Nat Harrishoff.
Right.
He was an MIT trained naval architect. Yeah. So he used, hooray for this, this radical notion of power tools in building boats in Bristol, Rhode Island. Yeah.
What? Crazy talk.
But it's technological innovation. So it's always been about this. It was never a set class. And the yacht racing class, the class races, came out of a desire to sort of standardize the format to focus in on the skill of the crew, which I think is fantastic.
And you need those two.
Absolutely.
Whatever kind of racing endeavor you need, like in Indy cars. Indy cars are all the same.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know anything.
Yeah. Formula One, no, not the same. But
you're not cheating. You're not trying.
Right. Yeah. So you have so many different one design classes within sailing, everything from windsurfing to stingies to.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves. So
we're getting ahead.
We are.
Have we been on a linear path at all in this conversation? All right, the squiggle's gone too far out. We got to
bring it in. Bring it in. So that's a very, very quick and dirty. There's some wonderful histories of yachting. Winfield Thompson wrote one, I think, he wrote a history of the America's Cup race, I want to say in the 19-teens, something like that. Probably the most famous historian of the America's Cup races, but a whole bunch of writing about Nat Harrishoff. If you're interested in that, go to Wooden Boat Magazine. It's got everything. The other side of this, though, is the one that I find really interesting, because as the Richie Rich are starting to race their mega yachts, and most of the time those yachts, I mean, these things are huge. Like if you look at some of the pictures from 1890, you're looking at Shamrock or Yankee. These things are underhulled, over canvassed as all get out. They must have flipped constantly, but they're all crewed by professional crew. And so the owner may have been aboard, but the people running the boat itself were hired captains and hands. And obviously, because this is a manifestation of masculine power, or I am man at sea.
Yeah.
Well, not everybody's got that money. So you've got people who are starting to go to the seaside for vacations as rail lines expand out of the city, and they see work boats coming in with loads of fish, sandbaggers, sailing dories, catboats. And they see these two fishing captains racing in to get a better price. And they're like, hey, that looks like fun. I want to do that.
That looks like fun. No, these guys are coming in to get a better paycheck. But
I'd be hard pressed to think that there was a little grudge match going on, as
sure.
well as the paycheck.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. If you're fishing out of the same port your whole life,
but your motivation.
Damn it! I'm going to beat Eben today if it kills me.
Right. But the motivation is still a little different, right?
Well, and you also see as fishing stocks inshore fishing start to decline in the late 19th century, you see some of these fishing captains turning to what we would call party charter boats or head boats and taking people out for sailboat rides. So you see the rise of kind of more humble yachting, boating, emerging out of this expansion of vacationing. And it begins slowly before the Civil War, but after the Civil War, especially with the mass industrialization of the American economy, you now have an increasing white-collar class of people who can afford to spend a month or a few weeks. Cape Cod, Connecticut shoreline, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they see these boats that were designed originally to be work boats, and they're like, let's build two and race them.
Yeah.
$50 says I'm faster.
I'm going to have to put up a picture of a sandbagger so people understand what that is.
Well,
They're for me personally, I think they're beautiful.
They're gorgeous. Yeah, it's a cockle shell with it's an oversparred cockle shell skimming across the top of the water.
Absolutely amazing.
Same thing with catboats.
Yeah.
Catboats are designed to chase swordfish and tuna fish south of Cape Cod.
Really, I thought the design was much more for inland waterways, as far as
Well-
how shallow they are, being able to then have the
But
centerboard.
south of Cape
and-
Cod, you've got nice tuna in there. You've got big fish in
Oh,
there.
you mean immediately south of Cape Cod,
Well, in all Monomoy area, but also
Monomoy.
south of the Vineyard and south of Nantucket, because you have a lot of shoal water there. So you need to be able to chase them in shoal water.
Yeah.
And that's why. And
Yep.
you have one big sail
Yep.
that one guy in the back can steer
around.
and tend
Yep.
the sheet, and the other guy is up forward.
Just gotta be careful though, because you know with a cat. Well, you're gonna know, but our folks won't know. The cat boats, if you drive them too hard on a certain wind angle, you're driving the bow underwater.
Yeah.
Just the way they're rigged, they don't.
Yeah, there's a lot of weight forward because
Yeah.
the mast is all the way
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah.
But then the interesting thing about that rig is that the amount of foredeck forward of the mast gives enough room for a second guy with a harpoon to get out there. And sometimes they had little pulpits too, to get out on the bow. And all they had
For a proper cat boat, you're talking.
to be able to harpoon what they're going after.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're shallow, they're wide, they're beamy. Again,
yeah,
it's an oversparred cockle
Yeah.
shell skimming across the water. And they were great.
The design of a Marshall cat, or most cats, so it's
2-to-1.
right.
Yep. It's basically a rectangle.
Yeah, with some rounded size.
You know, the pointy end.
Yeah.
So, but those, like all these small boats, have origins in working boats.
Yeah.
And so, over
Yeah.
the course
Yeah.
north of Boston in the late 19th, early 20th century, dory racing was all the craze, and John Gardner, has plans
Well,
for
at the end
a
of the
Dion
day,
dory
what is-
designed specifically to race.
What's so cool about boats, at the end of the day, at least I think, is they are a true embodiment of form and function. Right? Oh, absolutely.
No,
What?
it's God showing his hatred for of fallen humanity. Don't you know anything about boats?
Wow. Oh, you got to expand on that one.
We hate boats. Boats are pain.
Well, they
Boat
are.
is a four-letter word, as we said.
Okay, but it's you want it to do something. It's got
You can
to.
dress it up all you want, but like at the end of the day, boats are pain.
Oh, God, we can extend that to so many other elements of
I'm
life
not
as
saying
well.
it's an exclusive claim.
Okay,
I'm just,
okay.
I'm just saying that other things are pain too.
Boats, among other things,
Are pain.
Are pain. Well,
Yes.
absolutely. Particularly if you
But
own
there
your
are
own, you're paying for it.
beautiful form.
Yeah.
Form and function is beautiful.
Yeah, but form follows function.
Right.
And so all that function, you have so many different vessel types because you have so many different needs.
Yeah.
In the one, in the,
Oh, I could
that
talk to you. I
that
could
perfect
theorize
all-around
about-
boat. That perfect all-around boat does not exist.
No, it
It's
does
going to
not.
suck at everything it does if it's made for everything.
Yeah. No, and I could theorize at
Ad
a
nauseam.
lot. Oh, I speak much about how a vessel's design choices, rig choices,
Yeah.
represent human, the commissioning agent's expectations.
The commissioning agents.
The person who is having the boat built.
Okay, thank you.
We put away the pomposity jar.
No, that was more of an explanation.
Oh, right.
Right.
It was a bit.
Because,
pompous.
well,
It
no,
was a little pompous.
you're actually using technical vernacular.
Okay, fine. The commissioning agent,
Yeah.
the guy who wants the boat built, he's expecting to use it in a certain way
Right.
in a certain part of the world
It is-
under
it-
certain conditions.
And he's going to expect it to perform a certain way.
Right, and that's going to drive the whole structure,
Yeah.
the distribution of cargo versus living space,
Yeah.
the rig, everything.
Living space.
Yeah, talk to you. Interestingly enough, one of the first American yachts was the Cleopatra. Cleopatra's barge, that's what it was.
Not to be confused with Cleopatra Jones,
Who's Cleopatra Jones?
singer from Diggable Planets.
Why do I bother? Why do I bother? No, this was owned by. It was owned by the son of one of Salem, Massachusetts' most prosperous turn of the 19th century, War of 1812 era merchants, a guy named Crown and it's spelled Crown and Shield, but it's pronounced Crownshill. And the Derbys and the Crownshills were rival trading houses out of Salem in the 1780s and 90s and early 1810s. And the Wastrel son, I assume he's a Wastrel son, basically buys a fishing schooner or a big schooner and sails it around the world.
Just because.
Just because. He's got the money to burn.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I need to bone up on the story of that, but he just decided to say, screw it. I like sailing. I don't like working. I'm going to sail.
Wow. And
he may have been sent over to the Far East to be able to open up a trading line or something. There may have been a practical purpose to this, but that was there was no cargo space at all. It was one of the first vessels in the United States to be built specifically or to be commissioned specifically for pleasure sailing.
So how do we get from Cleopatra,
her barge,
to modern day recreational sailing of fiberglass boats that we see today?
Well, one important stop along the way.
And not just sailing. Let's consider this boating. Yachting. Writ large.
Boating.
Yes.
One of the stops along the way, and this stop is going to require us to bring in a friend of the channel named Carl Herzog.
Okay. This is going to branch off into a bunch of different little sub pieces.
Involves a magazine published beginning, I want to say, in the 1890s, early 1900s, called The Rudder. And The Rudder was...
Where is it published technically?
I want to say like Pittsburgh or something like that. I don't think that's
right.
right.
So it wasn't like Gloucester. I couldn't say it. So it was The Rudder.
Nah, sorry.
It's not The Rudder.
Not The Rudder.
All right.
Yeah. But one of the early writers was a guy named Tom Fleming Day, who got tired of yachting being the purview of the rich. And so he started talking about, this is the day and age where you start having cheap make and break single cylinder, one lungner marine diesels and two-stroke engines popping around. And people were like plopping them into boats and putting around for the day. And so he started talking about...
Was Day an American?
What?
Was Day an American?
Yes.
I think he was English.
Oh, he was writing in the United States, but he may have been born in England. Yeah.
He was from Sheffield.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
And what's really cool about it is that
he's rather subversive.
Very subversive.
Yeah, this is proper bullshit.
Right. And wondering, why aren't people here in the States sailing the way we do back in England and in Western Europe? But there was much more access to the water. There was much, to your point, the democratization and his desire, that circumvention of the not the zeitgeist, but the
elitist, crass elitism.
I mean, I love that. I love it. It's just
like, so Carl's going to talk about this because Carl knows more about Tom Fleming Day than anybody else alive.
And I never knew until he brought this up to me. I never knew that that there's a annual race goes from Newport, Rhode Island to Bermuda.
Yeah, the Newport to Bermuda race.
Yeah, he started it.
He started that?
Yeah.
I thought that was started by the New York Yacht Club.
No.
There's the Marion Bermuda race.
Yeah.
That's the Cruising Club of America.
He started the Newport Bermuda race.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
All right. Wow. From subversive to the
He won the first one too.
Of course he did. Well, he also designed the Seabird Yawl, which was one of the.
So that's the cool thing about this. So let's. Okay.
No. We're going to save that for Carl.
We're going to leave Carl. Love it.
Yeah, because Carl has one. Oh. And I've sailed aboard it with him. And the thing.
But the whole point of him wanting that magazine
was to allow people to be able to build their own boats and use them. But it was also tinged with this crisis of American masculinity, where the office, the factory, was stripping Americans of their self-reliant skills, and men's nuts were getting smaller, and there is some of that too.
Jesus, so that happened back then too. I mean, here we are in this whole same. It's like there's always this crisis of masculinity.
Middle class is rising, masculinity is in crisis. Begins with Tacitus.
Wow. That goes back a long time.
For a bunch of tough guys, we're kind of wimps.
Yeah. Just ask my wife.
I'm not going to. No, I'm not gonna. No, I'm not touching that with a
No,
10-foot pole.
she always complains about how
Don't finish that sentence.
how
This
how
can't. This
whiny
can't.
the Y chromosome is. We are whiny.
Speak for yourself.
I know you. I know you off camera.
There is only one me. It's just me. There is no other me.
That was priceless. I love that.
I'm channeling my friend Manuel's Lizaralde on that one.
Okay.
Wonderful guy.
All right, so we got the
Fantastic.
rudder.
So that's one stop along the way. But I
Okay.
think the other stop
Is he successful? In
the
starting-
rudder, he is. And by then, and it's really this intersection of technology
Yeah.
that by the 1930s, you start to have, again, a middle class that is, with the exception of the Great Depression, which kind of put the monkey wrench in things. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
and then there was World War II. By the time world stopped blowing itself up economically and literally, you had first off, a whole bunch of people who had been in the United States Navy enjoying going boating.
Yeah.
You had a prosperity where, in lots of natural resources and no environmental regulations, cut everything down and turn it into boats. You had engines that were all over the place. I mean, you got to remember, PT boats were designed to be built out of plywood.
No kidding.
Yeah, they were plywood. And because it was cheap, fast, relatively easy to repair,
They're basically using a stitch and glue kind of process.
it was almost a stitch and glue kind of process, which would show up later in boat building.
So stitch and glue is this process where you take sheets of plywood and you actually the stitching is pieces of wire that you then put together in the seams, and then the glue is epoxy or some other kind of
Well, that's the other thing. You
hellish material.
compound.
Yeah.
The other thing they have going on, and this comes in, I think, in the late 50s, early 60s, the Goujon brothers in the upper Midwest invent epoxy.
Yeah.
And that changes everything, because now you can have much more aggressive forms and designs and a glue that will hold
Yeah.
incredibly well.
They invented epoxy?
I think so. Yeah. I think either they invented it or they popularized it. But
I'd say popularized. We should look into that.
yeah, because they were building ice boats.
So
Which are like, basically
Yeah.
a canoe with ice skate blades, or it's actually a Polynesian outrigger.
yeah.
With,
with extremely sharp razors on the outriggers.
going over Wisconsin lakes
At
at
a zillion miles an
70
hour.
miles an hour
Yeah.
in a good breeze.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't topple ever. No. Like, talk about balls of steel.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Jesus. So epoxies. The reason why epoxy is an important thing is that it's a lot less toxic to work with than polyester resins. So there are two different types of glues,
and it holds.
and it holds.
But there's a downside in that exposure to UV rays.
Done.
Yeah, it breaks down.
It's got to be painted. It's
gotta be
with a
painted.
UV protected paint.
And it's brittle, but that's changing. So there's new formulations now that are a lot more flexible, and the one that I worked with is called G-Flex.
Yeah.
And it's pretty nice. The other thing so you have, after World War II, you have lots of people with disposable income, and they're buying and using and enjoying recreational boats. Engines are getting cheaper. We all know, if you're interested in boats, we all know what the 1950s Chris Craft looks like. And so it's part of this
Or the
post-war.
classic Boston whaler, straight out of the TV show Flipper.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was 65. That was the first whale or something like that.
Is that what it was? Yeah.
The first production fiberglass boat wasn't the Whaler, though. I'm trying to remember the name of it, because
The first production was the Marshall Cat.
in fiberglass.
So no. Sorry. The Marshall Cat was the first fiberglass boat past that was longer than 16 feet.
Okay.
So
All right.
up until that point, the
limited.
conventional wisdom was that anything longer than that wouldn't be able to hold itself; it would collapse.
Right.
So Marshall then said, "You know what? Screw y'all.
We're gonna make it.
I'm going to do this." But he made it like a brick shithouse.
Right.
So I had the opportunity to work on hull number 1.
And we're gonna have.
We are. We're going to
Yes.
go visit this gentleman who owns this boat.
I'm looking forward to that. It's
That's
gonna be fun.
going to be a fun thing.
That's gonna be a fun
Yeah.
thing. I knew a guy who had, I think it was the 15th hull of the design that was the first mass production fiberglass motorboat design.
Oh, cool.
And I think it was built in like 50. 56, maybe
that
58, early 60s, somewhere
that
in
timing
there.
sounds-
I'm a little
yeah.
fuzzy on this.
Yeah.
I'll defer to people who know more, obviously. But what's interesting is that he wanted to enter it in the Antique and Classic Yacht Rendezvous at Mystic Seaport 10 years ago. And at first they said, no, you can't do that. And your rules say it has to be 30 years old and of historical significance.
Boom.
And they're like, damn it, we had to. And so you
Gave
have
him a
this
cock chop, and there you go.
varnish farm, varnish farm, varnish farm, in this cute little launch. To sum up where we're going to go. This might be actually a broccoli episode, now that I think about it.
This is kind of a broccoli.
It's kind of a broccoli episode. So,
but our broccoli is becoming more tasty.
it is tasty. It's a broccolini with a little balsamic glaze and salt. But basically, when we're thinking about yachting, we're thinking about
Did I start that?
yeah,
Sorry.
two origins. One out of the sport of kings, for the lack of a better term, wealthy elites who are used to sailing, oftentimes, big boats based upon their experience sailing Navy vessels and stuff like that. But you also have more humble vernacular routes coming out of working waterfronts and fishing in particular, where the fastest person back got the best price. And these things converge after World War II as different chemical technologies, engine propulsion technologies, construction techniques really start to come out of American post-war prosperity.
So this is not just.
And we haven't even talked about the international schoonermen's races.
Okay. Well,
Wayne Santos's book on that, Cotton Irons, is fantastic.
But really what we're getting into, it's not just a democratization of sailing or boating. You're talking about advances in economics. You're talking about advances in chemical engineering. You're talking
naval
about
architecture.
naval architecture.
Yeah.
You're talking about an area that has flourished or began to flourish because of advancements in so many different other related areas.
And in that way, what emerges is more of a byproduct of these other. Yachting emerges as a democratized, humble, working Joe yacht boating comes out of is an outflow of all these different technological innovations. Where someone says, "Hey, you know what? That would be cool on a small boat. Let's go put it there."
Yeah,
something like that. The other thing that's going on, but there's another thing that's interesting. We'll talk more about this too. Is that what about the traditional forms? And what you see happening in the 60s, and we'll talk more about this later as well, is you start to see a couple publications that are celebrating maritime historical vessels and construction techniques. In France, you have the chasse-marée published out of Douarnenez.
Okay.
And then here in the United, I think that began in '68, and probably some hippie publication for French people wearing bell bottoms and things like that. But focusing on
smoking cigarettes,
absolutely with a beret.
Yes.
But focusing upon especially Atlantic coast and Breton coast French vessel traditions, which are magnificent. I mean, the Bay of Biscay has some of the most gorgeous boats, historical vessels out there.
Really?
Lug rigs,
Yeah.
utterly goofy and stupid from a practical perspective.
Yeah.
But you're talking about cheap and easy to build and requiring some skill to operate safely in a very challenging environment.
Oh yeah, that's
So
that
that whole Brittany, Normandy area, Biscay area down towards Arcachon, that has just an incredibly rich maritime tradition. And the chasse-marée begins to highlight that in the 1960s, especially the larger vessels that by then were starting to fall apart. And a few of them were in good enough shape to be saved if you could build an interest in doing that.
Huh.
That idea spills over into the United States in the early 70s with Wooden Boat Magazine, and that starts doing its version of that. And I think the two are related, but I could be wrong. But they're
It'd be interesting to look into that.
coincidental, if nothing else. And
It just keeps coming.
two more things.
Jesus.
Out of that interest in late 60s and early 70s, in many ways counterculture, interest in traditional vessels, you have vessel designers that are starting to take new materials and build traditional hull forms. And my favorite designer is an Australian who moved to Scotland, or Scotland who moved to Australia, and his name is Ian Oughtred.
Oh, I think it went Scotland to Australia.
He went to Scotland to Australia.
Yeah.
He started taking the lines off of these 100-year-old Scottish working vessels, fairings and things like that, but designing them in marine plywood and epoxy.
Yeah.
And
I've got a little 8-foot dory from him that whenever I have time to breathe, I'm going to build that.
But because he's shaving the weight by 2/3, these things now fly.
Yeah.
It is like dangerous, like amazing. He's not the only one. There's a whole bunch of other ones. Francois Villiers out of France is doing this as well, roughly contemporaneously. Over here, I want to say, not Brewer, Baker. Howard Baker is doing that.
Huh.
Not Howard Baker. Yeah, Howard Baker.
Marine architect.
Yeah, the marine architect. But he also was designing small boats or pulling boats out of the National Watercraft Collection,
taking lines
taking lines and doing this. And Howard Chappell cataloged this in the 30s.
What a great way to preserve. What a great way to preserve these things, if not building it, at least having the lines off.
Well, and again, going back to the 30s, you had Howard Chappell actually doing that.
Yeah.
The Smithsonian was doing this beforehand, but Howard Chappell, well, he was actually working with the National Watercraft Collection at the Smithsonian. He had published their catalog, and it's great stuff. The other thing that's going on, that's driving this, is that in the 1970s, the United States Coast Guard promulgated a set of proposed rules that would effectively make it, if I understand it correctly, illegal for these traditional vessels to be used in a recreational capacity.
Wow.
They didn't have any of the modern safety equipment, no collision bulkheads, none of that shit.
Yeah.
And basically the Coast Guard said, well, given the dangers involved in using these things, they shouldn't be on the water.
Yeah.
Out of that, in response to that, an organization which is still around today, we're going to talk about it on its own, the Traditional Small Craft Association formed to push back.
Huh.
And in a feat of what I think is magnificent public process, not only did the Coast Guard roll back a lot of those provisions that would make these small craft illegal or not tenable, I guess, but they also were able to zero in and focus on the issues that they were really concerned about and promulgate less expansive regulation to target those issues.
So everything that you're
and the TSCA is still around today.
Yeah, well, as you said,
we'll talk about that.
Yeah. But what I find even that much more intriguing is there's all of this, and it's fun stuff. I love looking at it.
Absolutely,
great talking about it.
And we haven't gotten into the fiberglass yacht lines.
No.
Which I know nothing about.
But at the end of the day, you have to be able to pay for it. So how does this dovetail with the strength of the union in
right?
There's
Absolutely.
so many different elements that are economically driven, not a growth of a leisure class, because we're not talking about that, but we're talking about people having a weekend to actually be able to go out and
You're
take
talking
advantage.
about a strong American working class and middle class that had disposable income.
Yeah, because this shit's
you know what they did with it? They bought shit with it that put other people to work.
Yeah. So it's a really, really interesting undercurrent of this story that I think we have to investigate.
I think we do. Like every major famous American muscle car from the 60s and 70s was built by a union.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, they had
and
their problems.
paid for by union wages.
And a lot of them were bought by the same people that built them.
Yeah.
And sure, are they perfect? No. But a Bugatti isn't perfect either.
No.
But a Bugatti isn't going to,
it's not going to carry the groceries.
A Ford Mustang isn't going to cost you $75,000 for a new tire and $250,000 for brakes.
Tire.
Yes,
singular.
Exactly.
Oh.
And I love these fancy cars. They're glorious.
Me too. But I think the Bugatti doesn't even come with a spare.
It doesn't have the room.
Right.
Do you realize that I can't drive a Lamborghini?
Why? Too tall?
My foot is too big. I have size 12 shoes.
Damn.
Max size for a Lambo, 11 and a half.
I'm good then.
You're fine.
So, a lot of things. You just recreational boats. We're thinking, how complex and how interrelated to the rest of the American story and everything else can recreational boating be? Well, incredibly woven through.
Absolutely.
Right? So where do you think we're going to go with this from here?
Oh dear Lord,
there's so many places we can go.
Well, I mean, obviously, small boat design. We can look at some of the early historic racing designs. I mean, we could probably do a whole episode just on Winslow Homer paintings. My entire career has been defined by Winslow
In
Homer.
art. Holy
Absolutely.
I mean, think about we didn't even talk about that.
Yeah.
So, we'll coming up in this whole land of not just old historic vessels, but in how we got here with recreational vessels. I'm
trying to think. I'm trying to think of a metaphor.
How do we wrap this up?
The stuff that we're going to be putting on top of the bed of broccoli, like it's like a broccoli casserole. So the toppings for the broccoli casserole will be, well, we've hit a lot of the high points already.
Yeah.
But
I think we've gotten over that.
well, water skiing.
Water skiing, windsurfing.
That's going to be windsurfing.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to hearing
high action water sports.
High action.
Yeah. Or I'm sorry, high profile action sports, as a friend of mine coined it once. Well, because action sports, you're moving. High profile because you see it and you go, ooh, ah. And then, so, many things about the windsurfing industry that drove me fucking nuts when I was in the middle of it.
He'll bleep that out.
That we'll definitely get into in that episode.
In some regards, recreational boating was about selling boats and not selling boating, and in that way, it's like fishing equipment.
Yes,
you're trying to catch fishermen, not fish. And it's a business. Of course, it's a business.
So at the end of the day, this is all about business.
Well, sure.
Even going back to our very first episodes,
boating is about money.
The 80 Years' War. It was about there was the business behind that.
Think about
the
this.
Sea Dogs, the business behind
Absolutely.
that. Mayflower, the Pilgrims, the
all
business
money.
behind that.
Right.
So how does money drive how recreational boating exploded here in the U.S.?
It made us stupid.
Oh boy! And on that note,
you're not going to let me finish that, are you?
Nope.
Nope.
My name is R.J. LaValle.
And I'm Matthew McKenzie. Thanks for joining us on Backwinded.
All right, let's have a little postscript. I'll let you finish.
Well, only idiots would go to sea. That has been stated over hundreds of years. Benjamin Franklin says the only difference between going to sea and going to jail is that at sea you also have a chance of drowning. And yet after World War II, we all want to go on boats. Yay!
Oh gosh, that is going to be a great postscript. I love that.
It's just, like it makes us dumb.
Yeah. Yes, it does. All right.
Speaking of which, I got to go join a boat.
Yep.
Such an idiot. Why am I doing this?